Morning, everybody. Good morning. Nice to see you all. I shall call this meeting to order. It is obviously our council meeting of 19th of March, but before we kick off, very short agenda, could I please ask you, Dalmarie, to open us appropriately? Thank you.
Tēnā tātou I te whare. I mua I te rauna o te paukai. Ko kingi tū heitia ki te rangi ko ngā waihono I te pō, ki te whenua, pai mārire ki a rātou. Ko rangi ko papa, ko rangi ka puta, ko rongo, ko tāne mahuta, ko tangaroa, ko tūmatauinga, ko haumia tiki tike, ko tāwhiri mātea. Tokono rā ko rangi ki runga, ko papa ki raro, ka puta, te ira tangata, ki te whaiao, ki te ao mārama, ti hei mauri ora. Tēnā tātou.
Kia ora. Thank you, Dalmarie. And apologies, I could not make poke. I'm really frustrated I couldn't, but I hear it was a wonderful, wonderful day. Look, before we move on with our agenda, I just want to warn you all, I suppose, that we have media in the room who will be taking photos. Philip, your seat's over here. So just, smile nicely, you might want to reapply that lippy, run a comb through your hair or tuck your shirt in, whatever's your gig. So just to let you know that is going to be happening throughout this short meeting, I believe. So without that, without any further ado, let's move on to our agenda. And apologies here from Marcus. So I'm happy to move that those be accepted. Philip?
I'll move that, but I apologise. We're up to apologies and I apologise for being late.
Okay, apologies for absence from Marcus Gower and apologies for lateness by Philip Coles. I've said I'd move it. You can't really second it because it's about you. Claire will second that. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Great. Disclosure of members' interests. I'm not aware of there being any. Lots of shaking heads. Great. Moving on then to our only and substantive item on today's agenda, which is the Local Water Dunwell Preferred Option Approval for Public Consultation. Now, on your agenda, it may say Sharon and Carl, but it's not. It's Lisa and Sharon. It's lovely to see you both. Take a seat. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. So this morning we're here to seek approval for our consultation document for our council's preferred water option for our future water services delivery. Council's preferred option for consultation is Waikato Waters Dunwell, and this was approved at the council meeting on the 26th of February. Our consultation will be undertaken under the Water Services Preliminary Act arrangements, not under the Local Government Act. Consultation will be at the same time as our 2534 LTP, and those timeframes will be confirmed. Following consultation, there will be hearings and deliberations, and then the council decision on the preferred option for our water services delivery plan will be made. The delivery plan needs to be approved by the Chief Executive and submitted to DIA by the 3rd of September. So those are the timeframes that we're working towards. So I'll hand over to Lisa and she'll run through the consultation.
Morena tātou. It's my pleasure to present the Local Water Dunwell consultation document to you for adoption today to start discussions with our community. It certainly is a milestone in this project, and given that we're at the leading edge of change for local government, particularly in the Waikato, it really has been a collaborative effort to get to this point, not only with our internal subject matter experts and yourselves as elected members, but with our partner councils who are also considering Waikato Water Dunwell as their future option for water services delivery. The document itself has been through a legal review, given we're working under a new piece of legislation that has different mechanisms than the Local Government Act, which of course is what we're used to consulting with our communities under. The legal review placed particular emphasis on ensuring we highlight that we are consulting on our preferred model. This is a deliberate mechanism of the Water Services Preliminary Arrangements Act, and that it aims to streamline the consultation process. It is relevant to note that there is no requirement to consult on the water services delivery plan itself, which must be submitted, as Sharon said, for approval by the 3rd of September this year. The consultation on our local water done well preferred option will align with the consultation on the long-term plan, with those dates still to be confirmed. And there is a comprehensive consultation approach that includes face-to-face and digital methods, as well as direct mail to each Waipa household. The recommendations before you today allow for minor amendments to the documents, including dates, links to other supporting information and web pages, and to respond to any further feedback you may have for myself or the team today. At this point, I will also note that yesterday I received a few minor wording suggestions from Claire. Thank you, Claire. That will be considered for the final document. And with that, I'll hand back to the chair.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. And yes, thank you, Claire, for pointing those minor changes out and sharing that with us, so we're all across what those wee alterations will be. Look, I'll open the floor for questions. Obviously, we have not only been through this document on a number of occasions, but obviously lent our support to, which is the preferred option, the Waikato Water Done Well option. But I shall open the floor now to questions. Roger.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And Lisa, I think you've done a really, really good job in putting this document together in easy to understand language. And I think having gone through the process as we have done, looking at the myriad of factors that actually influence a decision in any way, I know how complicated it is. I mean, I know that when I sat down to do my analysis, it actually took literally hours and hours and hours to weigh up all the pros and cons and to come up with what I thought was the best solution for our ratepayer, which to me was the overarching consideration. And I believe that we've done that. But realistically, I don't think I'm going to be expecting ratepayers to spend hours and hours and hours reading the document. It's a long document. There's a lot of factors in there. But I think, as you say, legally, we've got to go out and we've got to present all of those factors and the options. And I think that you've done it well in as simple a language as you can. The only point, and I don't think it's a recommendation for change, but what I would have liked to have seen somehow, and don't ask me how you would have done it, is to have sought some feedback from our ratepayers as to the criteria and what they felt was important in their consideration, like a kind of a ranking, if you like, you know, or the factor of affordability. How important did they feel that was? How important did they feel that looking at the infrastructural strategy and development of infrastructure going forward? And it would have, to my mind, have been good, I suppose, to have endorsement that we've made the right decision in terms of the criteria that we've actually established ourselves. But if you were to ask me, how do I do that? I don't know. But I just would have liked to have seen some endorsement of the criteria that we'd established in making our selection. But I think it's good. I like the diagrammatic representation that you've got in there, the highlights that you've made. I think you've done well. So I think it's a really good document. So thank you for the time and the energy that you've obviously put into this. And thank you, Claire, for your editing comments that you've made. We can rely on Claire for her proofing skills. She's wonderful like that. So yeah, that's, I suppose, I'm an endorsement of the document. So thank you.
Thanks, Roger. You're sort of wanting a consultation document to be a survey as well.
Well, yeah.
I can understand your thinking.
Don't ask me how you would do it.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, it's I know that when I finished up with the criteria and the pros and cons of each of the different aspects, and that's what the way in which I've formed my opinion. And I suppose I was wanting endorsement of that, but
Great, thank you. Thank you, Roger. I have Lou and then Claire.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to absolutely thank you very much for an excellent document. We've had a long period of time. This is probably the biggest decision this council will ever make, particularly in this triennium anyway. So I agree partially with what Councillor Gordon said, but I do say that everybody is aware that we were proposed with 3 waters under the last government that we had, and we had to progress that. We then changed to what we call Waikato, or Waters Done Well, and we've gone through this process for quite some period of time. So we as elected members have considered carefully all the options that are on the table before us. And one of the things that I think is ably done is that we've given the 3 major sides that we had, having Waikato Services Controlled Organisation, a standalone CCO, having a regional CCO, and also a Waikato Waters Done Well, or a WWTC. So I think you've done that very well. Our job is now to get out and encourage the public to participate. And I think we have to do that through media and through our own personal act. But in doing that, I want to say what an amazing achievement for all of the team here and everyone. It is something that has taken a long time, but we've achieved what we need to do.
Thank you, Lou. Claire.
Yeah, thanks. And I just want to add my congratulations to the team, because I know that, well, we probably don't know actually what a massive amount of work that's been going on behind the scenes. But yeah, totally endorse the comments, Lisa, about the outstanding job you've done in getting a really complex concept conveyed, in easy to understand language. And I just want to acknowledge the changing landscape that we had to sort of negotiate and navigate since, the previous government. I mean, I was really pleased that this government gave us the choice that we could actually work on a solution ourselves rather than something that was imposed on us. And I guess that's why all this work's been put in. Now, I just wanted to comment on, Roger, you mentioned that you have liked to have been able to sort of had an idea of what the community's sort of ranking of different criteria were. So that, I've done a lot of background reading in the water reform space, and that has been done in other parts of the world, like Canada and that. But I think in this case, in the end, that didn't become relevant because from our point of view, YPA's point of view, the critical thing for us actually that overrode everything else was being able to access higher levels of finance or debt, because if we couldn't do that, pretty much we were scuppered with any other sort of long-term planning, and that's also borne out, in the water reform literature as well. That often it's the access to financing and debt that is the biggest driver for these reforms. Saying that, I think that the way that the regulations or the sort of governing institutions that are going to be in place when we get into this new water system, we've got the Commerce Commission, we've got Taumata Arawai, we'll have the Regional Council as well. Those should, I think, give water consumers confidence that there are these sort of controls in place. So while we haven't had direct, I suppose water consumers had been used to having direct control through council, now there'll be these other entities that will undertake some of that role. Yeah, I'm sure they'll still be able to bring us up or the water entity up. But, like the Commerce Commission is protecting consumer rights and things like that. Yeah. And I'm really rapt that your approach to the consultation is really broad. It's not just, I suppose, residential consumers and things like that. You're looking at more people, like I presume, I did ask you at a previous workshop, the water users are on your list, iwi, contractors as well. So it's great that we're going to get a broad, I suppose, feedback from quite a, the full spectrum of our community. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a difficult journey to reach these decisions, and the amount of analysis and material that we have here has been pretty mind-boggling. But I am in a comfortable position, with it, and I just want to thank again everyone that's been involved in helping us get to this point.
Thank you, Claire. Any other comments or questions in respect of this item? Mike?
Thank you through the chair. Yeah, to reiterate some of the points, fantastic document. Obviously, a lot of work's gone into this over a lot of time by many people, but thank you, Claire, for leading this up and I guess coming up with a document that is hopefully well received by our community. Picking up on some of Claire's points, one in particular, some feedback I'm particularly looking for here, because, you know, there's about $500 million worth of spend across the entire district, of which we've got about $214 million of it in our CCO. I'm really looking forward to those contractors coming forward with some pretty innovative ways of how this can all be delivered, but also actually, you know, profit is one thing, but how can we actually do a good job here for our community too? So I guess I'm putting a challenge out to those contractors to, I'm sure our staff are going to meet with them because this is so big, but coming up with some pretty innovative ways in terms of timing this. But we don't want to be hamstrung by massive costs because of supply and demand issues. So that's particularly one of the things I'm going to be looking at when I get this feedback. So contractors, don't be silent on this. Give us some feedback, get together if you have to, and come back with some collective thought, because you guys are going to be the people delivering this to our ratepayers. The other thing in here, of course, is every council across the district needs this to be successful, because every individual council is actually accountable to underwrite this. So if it goes belly up, you know, that'll be largely on us. So, you know, we'll be keeping a very close eye, the ratepayers can be assured, of how this CCO performs, because it's in our vested interest to protect our ratepayers in every way, shape and form.
Thanks, Mike. Andrew?
Yeah, thanks. Some good points there, Mike, actually, particularly in the contractors and whatever. I just wanted to make it clear that the profit you're referring to is the contractor's profit, not profit on waters, because under legislation, of course, it currently exists. Our waters entity is not able to make a profit. So yeah, just thought that. And the challenge, of course, for these entities is to be efficient and effective without a profit motive, without effectively a competitor. And that's where the entities Commerce Commission, TRY, wow, that's a different role, but you know, that they are helping drive the efficiencies that we're all looking for in this entity. So yeah, looking forward to the feedback as it comes in and deliberations from there up to.
Thank you, Andrew. Dale-Marie?
Tēnā tātou, and I'm just going to coattail on what everybody else said around for me, as someone who loves to look at design and format and stuff like that, Lisa, you've done a fantastic job. And like everyone has mentioned, it's clear, it's really nice to look at, and it's really simple to digest. So, ka nui te mihi kia koutou, kia koe, koutou koto tīma I whakamahi ana tēnei kaupapa, because it is massive. But I am just going to do some little ethical remembering, because I have picked up on a few points that we've talked about. As the new kid on the block, from what I gather from my tuakana Nanaia, and I do hear what you say, Claire, around having the choice, but I think as successive local governments, we had the choice to make sure our investments were always supposed to be really good. And I understand around debt ceilings and the finance and stuff like that, but, you know, if this was paid for by central government, our ratepayers wouldn't have so much to pay for. at this time. So that's all I'm going to say on that, because for us in the Māori communities, you know, we're gentrified, our rates are always high. So these are things that always affect us. But I pick up on what Chris Finlayson just recently said in the last few days, that the infrastructure is still waiting. It's still waiting. He alluded to it nearly 20 years ago that things needed to change, and we're still battling over putting it together. So tēnā tātou, but great job. Yeah.
Kia ora, Damarie, thank you. Any other comments anybody wishes to make before we draw our attention to the recommendation? Look, it feels like a bit of a love fest, doesn't it? A bit of a pile on here, but look, I just wanted to acknowledge not only you, Lisa, because I know very in a small part the amount of work that you've put into this, and you've lived and breathed this, and you know, fairly solidly, almost 24 hours, 7 days a week for quite some time. So I just want to acknowledge you. Also want to acknowledge other staff, Sharon, Carl, who's not with us, Dawn, and the whole team for their similar commitment in terms of all hours of the day, being prepared to tweak and reassess and reshape this document. I also want to acknowledge the commitment by the members of the project governance group too.
Yeah.
It was no small task to be available to help smooth the way, give initial feedback on drafts as they were shaped up, and challenge parts and tease out bits and question others. So look, I think this is a great example of quite a high level of collaborative, long and intense commitment to getting something right, because we know we have to get it right. So look, I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I also wanted to acknowledge the leadership around this table in terms of the decision in the first instance. Steph and I actually made a submission yesterday to the select committee that's dealing with Bill 3, and the members around the table at the select committee were aware of Waikato Water Done Well. They said that everybody was watching the 7 in the Waikato. So you can rest assured that the leadership that we've shown not only here but around the region is being watched. So and treated with some admiration, I think, because it's not an easy path. We all know that. And there was certainly acknowledgement at the select committee level that they realised that this was complicated and it wasn't always going to be easy. So just wanted to put that there. So look, we have a recommendation then appearing on page 4 and 5 to not only receive Sharon's report, but to approve the consultation document on the base attached to the document for consultation. And then agree to undertake that consultation, delegate just a couple of small delegations to Steph and to Dawn to determine the exact date for consultation and to make any final amendments if any editorial changes were required. Roger, are you going to move that for me? Absolutely. And Claire, you will second that for me? No, I'm happy for the two of you to take that role. So look, I shall put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Wonderful. Thanks very much. Now, Steph, did you want to say something before the team sneak off?
Chairs, for all the reasons that you've clearly outlined. And I want to endorse Mayor Susan's words, actually, because timing is everything in life, as we know. And I think I've referred to a letter before that the minister at the time, Anne Tolley, wrote to the chair of Local Government New Zealand, Dave Cull, back in the late 90s, saying this needed to happen, something needed to happen with waters infrastructure and local government. And here we are in 2025. And for all the reasons you've explained, very challenging, but the opportunity is great and worth the pursuit of. But I want to acknowledge the work that you've put in as elected members to read and understand and discuss and debate the complexity of issues. And for those listening, I would really affirm that we have had very robust conversations, the extra layer of governance through the project governance group and the insight and oversight that they've had, and knowing that this isn't the first rodeo for Waipa and that the community has seen us have another attempt at this, but times have moved on and the context is different. And I think we now are on the cusp of an opportunity, which is one of those times which are fraught at the time, and in future when we look back, we think, why didn't we do that sooner? And I have strong belief that should we succeed, should each of the 7 councils get information from their communities and actually as councillors endorse this opportunity, I think we're on a really important journey as local government for many, many reasons. And it, as Councillor Dale Marie alluded to, certainly the central government's been wanting to see this happen for a long time. So I'm incredibly privileged and delighted to be here today to witness the documentation being approved. And I too want to acknowledge the team, all of the team, for their effort. And know we've had multiple requests for this document for others to see it, and know it's happening around the country. I don't envy you as elected members to be making long-term significant infrastructure decisions that don't necessarily reconcile with 3-year election cycles, but I want to applaud you all for the leadership and courage that you are demonstrating as elected members in our district for this opportunity. So thank you all very much.
Kia ora, Steph. Thank you for that. Look, I think that is the end of our meeting. Very short and sweet. A bit of a milestone passed. So thank you all. I believe we're breaking now for morning tea, and then we will be back for service delivery. What time was it, Claire? 11:15. 11:15.
11:15.
Yes.
I
Wonderful.